If you've been wanting to try out Pinterest ads for a while, but you don't really know how to get started, then this video is for you. Hey there, this is Shruti from digitalempires.co, and in today's video, I'm taking you behind the scenes of how Pinterest ads work, how you can use the Pinterest ads manager to create your first advertising campaign, as well as what it is that you need to know to make sure that your ads are cost effective, as well as bring you the returns that you expect. So without further delay, let's dive into the tutorial. All right, so before we jump into creating an ad campaign and doing all of the technical stuff, let's first see what a promoted pin looks like. So as you can see, I'm on my home feed right now, and when I just simply scroll across the home feed, you will see that below some of the images there is a button called promoted by. Now when it says promoted by XYZ account, that normally means that it is a promoted pin or it is an ad, right? Because on Pinterest, in order to create ads, you need to be creating pins which are promoted by your business account. So essentially, when you click through to this particular pin, instead of going to a close-up of the pin, you actually end up going straight to the website. So as a business owner, this is a very, very effective strategy, especially if you're creating, ads to sell your products or maybe even signups, because nobody has to click through twice. So just to show you what I mean, for example, when I click through here, it first takes me to the pin and then I have to click to the pin to actually get to the article or the product, right? Versus when you actually create a promoted pin, it will take you to the direct landing page, which is, your ad or your product that you're trying to sell through your particular advertisement. Now, it doesn't always have to be a product that you're selling or a service that you're selling. You could just be creating an ad for traffic. So maybe you just want to drive traffic, maybe you want to drive signups. Really, the aim for you to be creating ads could be multiple, and it doesn't have to be only selling products and services. So as you can see, for example, this is an article which also, promotes a beginner's guide to SEO. And again, it is promoted by OMR. So when I click through to it, we go directly to the landing page, which is, as I can see, it is basically a report that I can buy and the entire sales page of this particular report. So as you can see, there are really multiple things that you can promote on Pinterest. They can be either normal images like image graphics which are static. They can be infographics with lots of information on them. They can even be videos of the product. So for example, this is a promoted pin which actually shows the product in action. So if you have a product which really sells by the function of it or the benefit, you could create a video and you could promote that as well. So again, when I click on it, takes me directly to the product landing page. Now, this is obviously different from usual pins because usual pins will first take you to a close-up and then you will have to click through to it. So there are multiple steps involved. And again, this is one of the biggest benefits of creating promoted pins or running ads on Pinterest, because you get people interested in a very organic manner. As you're browsing through the feed, you're looking for things that you're interested in, you come across an ad or an article that you want to click through, and you get led directly to the landing page. And the best way for you to identify it is just to see the promoted, sign below the pin, and you would know that it is a promoted ad. All right, so now that we know what it looks like, let's go behind the scenes into the Pinterest Ads Manager. So as you can see right now, I'm logged into the Pinterest Ads Manager, and first I want to share with you, what it actually costs to, let's say, run a traffic campaign. Now, obviously, this really differs across niches. It really differs across brands, across products, how much competition exists in your niche on Pinterest when it comes to selling or buying ads. That will really determine how expensive or how cheap it is for you to run ads. In my experience, on average, I find Pinterest ads to be way cheaper compared to Facebook ads, but it really depends on the type of campaign that you're running. So it could be that, running a campaign directly for product sales is more profitable for you on Facebook, but it is maybe more profitable for you in terms of traffic and driving clicks on Pinterest. Again, this is completely dependent on the type of business that you have, and I cannot really give you blanket statements on how much it costs to advertise on Pinterest, because it really depends on what your objective is, what business you're in, and who you're competing with, right? Because the more people spend money on ads, the more expensive it gets for you to advertise to the same audience. So as you can see, one of my ads here, which I ran as a test just to, show in this video, you can see that I spent around $3.46. So I was spending, I think, around $1 a day, roughly. I got 27 clicks as a result of it. And as you can see, every click basically cost me around 12 or 13 cents. So cost per cost per result. Now my result is here a traffic click, which means that for every click it cost me around 12 cents. Now if you know a little bit about Facebook and Instagram advertising, you already know that this is quite cheap in comparison, especially if you are in a competitive field. For me, this ad was running to a marketing audience, which is again one of the more competitive fields in general. And again, you can see what it cost me to have 1,000 impressions. So CPM is the cost per meal, or how much did it cost for 1,000 people, or for the Pinterest ad to be viewed by 1,000 people, right? I'm just telling you these terms so that you're not completely blanked out when you create your first campaign and you don't know what it means. Link clicks is pretty obvious. Anytime anyone clicks on my ad, that becomes a link click. So I paid around $3.5 to get 27 link clicks. You don't have to you don't have to be great at math to know that that is quite cheap. Click-through rate is your CTR. So now this means out of all the people that viewed my ad, what percentage of people actually click through? So this is about 1.95%. Generally, a good click-through rate would be a little over 0.5 to 0.75%. Again, this will really depend on your graphic, your campaign idea, and again, it depends on the requirement for your product as well and how well you're targeting your audience. If you're trying to sell a baby product to people who don't have babies, obviously your click-through rate will be poor, right? Conversions can be when you're driving a conversion campaign, like let's say you want to drive a campaign for your sales to your website, then that's where your conversions will show up. And again, there are lots of other things that you can, see in the metrics as well. Now, of course, for every ad, you can create multiple ad groups. You can create just one ad group. You can create 2 or 3 ad groups depending on how deep you want to go with your Pinterest ad strategy. Here you can also see an overview of which pin it is that I was promoting. You can click through and see what the ID of the pin was. Maybe you want to go and update that sometime during the ad. You can also click through and see what keywords we are using, which keywords are performing well. Should you update or edit or maybe delete some keywords, so on and so forth. So now that we know what an overview of Pinterest ads look like, let's go into actually creating an ad for you step by step, right? Now, here is where you will see your ads, let's say menu, and there are going to be a lot of different options here. So when you're creating an ad, you would obviously pick the first option, which is to create an ad. You can also go to overview, which will show you an overview of all the campaigns that you're running, how much money you've spent, and you can, toggle them on or off depending on what you want to do. You can be on reporting, which is the page we are currently on, where you see detailed reports of your campaign, how it's working, etc. You can create custom reports and you can even publish them. You can export the data to your, let's say, business account and then map it into an Excel sheet and go all crazy with how your ad is performing, etc. If you create bulk pins to promote, let's say that you are a large e-commerce company and you want to create a lot of pins for ads, you can click through to bulk editor and create all of these campaigns together or these graphics so that it's much easier and faster for you. You don't have to create an ad step by step. Conversions will essentially show you what kind of conversions are active on your website and what are the tags that you need to make those conversions active. So just like on Facebook, you have Facebook pixels, which you have to use to create a tag so that, every ad is being tracked and they can figure out how that ad is performing. Similarly, on Pinterest, you also have something called the Pinterest tag. Now, obviously, you need to enable it to make sure that you're actually running ads which can be tracked. Anyone can run ads with a business account if you're in a country where ads are allowed. So I have to mention that not all countries allow ads. You have to check whether or not Pinterest ads are available in your country or not. But the next step really before you start running ads, specifically if you're running conversion ads like sign-ups, sales, products, services, etc., then it might make sense for you to first add the Pinterest tag to your website. Make sure it is enabled and activated. You can use something called the Pinterest Tag Manager. It's a pretty helpful Chrome extension and it helps you set up your tags in place. And once you're done with that, you also have other things. So you have an option to create specific audiences. So again, on Facebook, you also have this option. And here you can see you can create a specific customer list. Maybe you want to target a segment of your list which is interested in a specific product. You can upload that list and you can create that audience here. Maybe you want to target the people who've already visited your website. So you can create a list on that as well. It's pretty simple, actually. You go on creating an audience and then you can pick one of these 4 criteria. It can be people who visited your website. It can be a list of customers that you uploaded. It can be an engagement audience, so everyone who interacted with your Pinterest business account. Or you could create a lookalike audience as you have on Facebook. This is called act-alike on Pinterest, but essentially it's the same as you have on Facebook as well, which is an audience which behaves and acts similarly like the one you have. So this is basically a cold audience with similar demographic features as the people that are, let's say, interested in your business, right? Awesome. So now that we know what all of these different things mean, ad account history is just changes in your ad accounts, billing and catalogs, etc. Catalogs is again interesting for you if you're an e-commerce person who has activated catalogs and you want to be uploading multiple pins at the same time to Pinterest to shop. Let's go and create an ad and see how this process looks like firsthand, right? Now, first things first, you're going to be picking your business goal. So what is your objective? What is your aim for driving, this ad, for creating this ad campaign? So as you can see, there are three big buckets that your ad campaign is divided into. You have build awareness. So you could create an ad which, brings more people to know about your brand, or maybe you can promote a video and you want to drive more people to view that video on Pinterest. So you can have video views. The second type of ad is to drive consideration. So how do you make people more aware of the problem that you're solving or of your products and services? And here's where you have traffic. And then the last one is going to be conversions focused ads. So these are ads, for example, that enable people to actually take actions on your website. So sign-ups to your newsletter, maybe to your next webinar, and also sales to your products and services, right? So to drive sales to your e-commerce store. Now, again, depending on how long you've been running ads and what kind of business you have, you might not have access to these ads directly because you usually need to show a certain number of conversions in the last 30 days to actually get access to these conversions, campaign. So I actually haven't been running ads on this particular account, and that's why this is not active for me. In my other accounts where I do run ads, I have access to conversion campaigns as well. But at the end of the day, the easiest and safest place for you to start will always be traffic, because without driving traffic to your landing page or to your URL, it's hopeless for you to expect a sale or a conversion, right? So even if these are not activated for you and your account is not yet mature enough to activate these conversions, then you can still start with a traffic campaign, or you can start with one of the brand awareness campaigns. I recommend always starting with traffic because it's the best way to really grow your audience base, as well as make the most out of the money that you want to spend. Now here is where you can type in the campaign name. So you can say that you want to type in XYZ test campaign, because we aren't really planning to run it, but we just want to see what it looks like. Of course, you can create any name that you want that makes it easy for you to track track the results of this campaign. Again, here is where you will pick out exactly who you're targeting. So this is it's actually the most important thing about your ad campaign. And here's where you're going to be targeting who exactly gets to see your ad and what it is that you want to, what kind of audience you want to create a repo with, or to promote your products with. Now, as I showed you briefly, you can have your own audiences that you promote to, and you can include or exclude them from your promotions. We don't want to create a promotion for these audiences. We want to have a keyword driven strategy. So we're not going to select anything here. But of course, if you're specifically targeting your website visitors, or you're targeting your engaged audience, like people who've clicked through to your pins previously in the last 30 days or so, make sure to definitely pick one of these. Or you want to target a segment of your email list, you can select that as well. Like if you're running a very sensitive promotion that you only want to share with some people. Now, here are the broad interests of people that are interested in, let's say, your product. So let's say that you want to create a campaign in marketing. You can type in the word marketing and you can see what are the interests that people show up. So what this means here is that the audiences that you are looking for who are interested in marketing often show an interest in one of these three categories or broad interests. Now, obviously, you can pick all three if you want, or you can pick just one or two of them, depending on what you feel is, the most relevant for your particular campaign. So I'm going to pick this because I know that people who are interested in marketing are interested in things like internet and, communications and so on and so forth. And I want to target an audience who has shown an interest in this particular category. Again, this is quite similar to Facebook ads as well. However, it's somewhat limited because you don't get an option to have that many categories. You only have limited categories, which are basically the broad categories that people usually tend to follow. Of course, there are more categories outside of these as well, but this is kind of just a generic way to, target a particular audience. Now, here's where things get interesting in the keyword section. And here is where you can actually use anywhere up to 10 to 25 keywords to actually target the audience that you want. So there are two ways of going about it. You can make a list of keywords that you want to target based on your own Pinterest search. So let's say that I want to target people who are interested in looking for Instagram templates, okay? Then I can actually see all of the keywords that I want to target and use these keywords one by one that show up on these pins, and type them one by one here, and I can say Instagram templates and so on and so forth. Or I can go one by one and use the inbuilt keyword search tool within the Pinterest Ads Manager and start using them here. So I can say Instagram templates and see what pops up. Because this tool basically exists to give you a lot of related keywords and hashtags, etc., that will help you widen your reach when it comes to your Pinterest ads. So as you can see, I can see there are a lot of different types of keywords that come in, but there is no exact Instagram templates match. So I'm happy that I used this as a keyword. Now I can select a couple of ideas from here as well, which I think are relevant for people who might be looking for my particular ad, the thing that I'm promoting in my ad. So let's say that I'm trying to sell Instagram templates and I want to be targeting an audience that is looking for Instagram templates, right? So I can then select all of the keywords that I want to use to target them. And what that does is that will auto-populate the potential audience size here for you. So the good thing to remember here is that when you're just starting out, you don't want to make your audience too narrow, but you also don't want to be targeting too many people, because that will just increase the cost of your ad, right? You want to make it somewhere in the middle, or preferably more narrow than it is broad. So I usually tend to create ads which have an audience of less than 1 million, because I don't want to target everyone in my campaign. I want to be very specific about who I target and how I target them, right? So maybe we can also look for other keywords like social media templates, because maybe people who are looking for Instagram templates are not always typing Instagram templates. Sometimes they might be typing other things too. So blog templates, free blogger templates, social media marketing. Again, people interested in Instagram templates are obviously interested in social media marketing as well. So you can pick and choose really as many keywords as you want, and see if you reach an audience size which is in the range that you want it to be. An audience size which is not too small, but it's also not very, very broad. So you can use anywhere between, Pinterest here recommends that you should use 25 keywords, but I don't think you always need to. I think if you know exactly who you're targeting and you have a specific list of keywords that you want to match, make sure to go ahead and do that. You don't need to use 25 keywords. You can start with 10, 15, whatever it is. You can update and edit that as you go along. The idea here is simple. You target people who are looking for your products and services, or you target people that are looking for the content that you provide in a particular field. So if I was an Instagram coach and I was teaching Instagram marketing, then I would target people who were looking for Instagram marketing, right? And I would make a list of keywords for people who were looking for Instagram marketing and then target them specifically. Now here you have a couple of other demographic things just to narrow or broaden your audience again. So you can pick specific genders. If you just want to target women, you can target women. If you want to target both men and women, you can target both men and women. Unspecified is essentially accounts that haven't really disclosed what their gender is. And usually when I'm targeting, I usually don't target men because my audience is predominantly female. So I target female and I target unspecified because there are many people who have personal accounts, but they haven't gone in there and selected their gender. So I don't want to accidentally leave them out, even though they might be interested in my topic. So for me, really what's important is that I pick the right keywords and I pick the right interest that my audience has, besides just the gender and the how specific I am about the gender. Next, you want to maybe pick up specific ages. So obviously, if you're targeting something sensitive, which can only be sold, or maybe you're selling something which is sensitive to, let's say, children. So you want to make sure that you are selecting 21 plus if it is like age sensitive advertising. And again, depending on your business and your target, let's say ideal avatar, you can really pick the people that you want to specify. So let's say that I want to pick up people between the age of 25 to 44 because that is my ideal audience. Again, I'm just making this up along as I go to show you how to go about it. This doesn't necessarily mean that these are exact things that reflect my business. I'm just trying to show it to you how this really impacts, the audience size that you have here. You can also pick specific US locations. So obviously, depending on where ads are allowed, where they're running, you can see not every country in the world allows Pinterest ads or has Pinterest ads activated. So you can pick one of these countries. You can pick US, let's say, you can pick United Kingdom, you can pick Netherlands, Malta, wherever it is that your audience is, and then you can continue to see how that changes your audience size here. You can go as narrow and as broad as you want. If your audience is just based in one country, you can also just select that. You don't have to select all the countries. If you have an international product, maybe you want to select more than one. Really depends on you. Then next you have languages. Now obviously people use Pinterest in different languages depending on where they're logging in from, but maybe you have a product or a PDF guide that you are promoting and it's only in English, so it actually wouldn't make sense to target people who are speaking Chinese or Czech, right? So in that case you can just go down and you can select English, because that will only target people who are English speaking or who at least interact with English based content, right? That way you don't waste your money promoting your campaign to people who speak other languages, because they are least likely to interact with your pin anyway, right? Now again, if your campaign is device specific, maybe you only want to target people on the phone. I don't know if there is a reason why you would want to do that. Maybe you're promoting a game or a mobile game that only works on phone and you don't want to target web visitors. That's fine. I usually target all devices because I don't think the information that I promote is device specific, because I'm not promoting tech stuff. But of course, if you are in the tech industry or maybe in the gaming industry, it might be different for you depending on what you're trying to drive. So for example, maybe you want to drive mobile app installs and you don't want people on the web to have access to it because they would have to open their mobile and it would be bad user experience. Just a random example. Could be true, could not be true. I usually tend to stick to all devices. Now again, you have options where you can have ad group placements. So, you can have placements where you just have specific ones like in the search feed, or you can just go for all, which is recommended, which basically will let the Pinterest algorithm decide where your ad gets the best interactions. And generally, I think that you should select all, because at the beginning, you really don't know how people are interacting with your ad. So you want to make sure that the algorithm is working for you and you're not restricting yourself too much, right? Now, when it comes to budgeting next, after you've selected all of the targeting criterias, you fine tune your audience, you know who you're targeting, your keywords, your interests, your language, blah, 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 all of that is set in place. You will now select how much you want to spend on this ad. So you can really start with like $1 a day if you want. You don't have to select a lot, or you can select, let's say, a lifetime budget of $10 that you want to select, or 100, 1,000. I don't know. It really depends on your budget, and you can select specific dates. Now, the way to look at it is that if you are creating an ongoing campaign, which is, something that you want to see over and over again, and you want to see how it does over time, and you want to be flexible enough to change, the dates around it or the budget around it, then I would recommend that you go for daily budget. But if you have a time sensitive promotion, like you're running a Christmas sale or a Black Friday sale, then obviously it makes more sense for you to have a lifetime budget where you specifically pick, let's say, the dates with around Black Friday, and you just say, okay, I'm going to have it around 26th to 30th November of the year, and then I'm going to run it just for those 4 or 5 days. Completely up to you and your business objective. In general, if you're running an evergreen campaign that is not time specific or time relevant, you can select a daily budget and you can go as low as you want or as high as you want. And if you are selecting an event-based promotion or a flash sale or something which runs out, right? Like maybe you have only limited products that are on sale, then in that case, go for lifetime budget. Really, this depends on your business goals. And I can't really tell you which one is right for you. All right, so next you have optimization and delivery. And again, this basically means how much you're willing to pay for each click and what is the kind of bid that you want to put in the advertising goal, right? Now you can select automatic if you're a newbie and you're just testing out your Pinterest ads account and you don't really know how much it's going to cost you to get a click or a sign up. Go for automatic. If that is not possible, go for custom. Now here is where something really cool happens, which is you can actually just type in whatever the heck you want and see what Pinterest says, right? You can say that I just want to spend 10 cents, even though Pinterest says that a bid of 0.43 or higher dollars will be competitive at auction, it will still run your campaign. It won't not run your campaign just because you said you want to spend 10 cents on your campaign, right? It totally depends on you. Of course, you can bid higher than this. You can bid exactly the same amounts that you are competitive in search and you get more clicks. And as you will see, you will be able to see what are the estimated results in 30 days that you would get for, for this particular bid value. So of course, this can, really greatly differ depending on the actual results. But this is something that you get to decide. If you're on a tight budget, go for as low a bid as you can afford. If you're not on a tight budget and you are a business owner who is looking to really experiment with Pinterest ads and see how things work out, you can click automatic and let Pinterest decide the lowest lowest click for you or try to get the best value for your particular money, right? Usually when you're using a daily ad budget like $1, it is a good combination to go for automatic. But if you're using lifetime and you have, let's say, $100 that you want to spend or $1,000, then maybe it makes sense that you back calculate how much you want to spend per action. So let's say you want to spend $5 in every purchase, then in that sense you can make it 5, right? And really the sky's the limit when it comes to picking the right bidding strategy. It depends on your goals and what is the right fit for you. Next, you obviously want to create a pin that is actually going to be promoted. So you can either select from one of the pins that you recently created. You can head into your boards. You can see what are the pins that are, maybe in a specific board, you want to create a specific pin that you want to promote. You can even type in, for example, search here the pin ID that you have and type in that ID for the pin to show up. You can do that as well. Sometimes I do that because I have a large volume of pins and I forget which pins I want to promote. Or you can create a specific pin here and you can just, create that pin that you want to promote and then go ahead with that, right? You can save that to the board and you can add that to your ad as well. Generally, I would recommend that you create a specific pin if you have a specific thing that you want to promote that you're not really sharing with your other audience. It will also help you track the performance of that pin individually because that will just be a promoted pin and you will be able to see how many people clicked on it besides the organic count. But really there is no right way to go about it. You can also select multiple pins. So you can say I want to pin 3 pins or 2 pins in this particular category and I want to promote them. So for example, you can pick like 1-2 pins that you want to see and you can test them out over time and see which pin is getting more clicks, more conversions, etc., etc. So here is basically where we come to the end of the Ads Manager tutorial. Once you selected your pins, all you have to do is launch your particular, campaign. Now, obviously, I have to at least choose one ad. I'm not really going to run this because it's just to show you. Once you click on launch, your ad will then be in the review process with the Pinterest team, and they're going to take about 24 hours to review it. Sometimes you can get, an approval back in a couple of hours, 1 or 2 hours. Sometimes it can take longer. Sometimes your ad can get rejected if you're using any sensitive words in your pin description, or maybe your pin is not really, showing the right picture. Maybe it is spammy. Maybe it is leading to a bad landing page. So all of these things are, again, things you have to consider when running Pinterest ads. But that's pretty much it when it comes to the technical side of using Pinterest ads and creating a campaign for the first time and running it from your Pinterest account. So that's it, you guys, for this Pinterest ads tutorial. Make sure to give this video a like, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell notification so that you're always notified of my new weekly videos on how to grow your audience, income, and impact online. You can also check out these videos next to keep growing your brand and business on Pinterest. Thank you for watching. I'm going to see you in the next one.